because I've done all my filtering. I'm only pulling back the records that meet my criteria in the first place. So why would I need to refilter those same exact functions? So let's do an example real quick. Let's look at page 321. I'm going to start up a brand new file. You can go ahead and close your summary list or any other files that you have open. Let's open up a brand new file.
Okay.
This will be exercise 1, or example 1. So, as a part of a report in which the customer sales manager needs to track all active customers, I need to start with my data dump, that replicator. List the records from the customer table that are not blocked. Sounds kind of familiar. Last time we wanted to get a list of salespeople from customers who are not blocked. Well, that was non-unique. Customers are. So let's go ahead and label this customer number. Well, actually, you know what? I take it back. We're going to call this the key. We'll see why in a second. What do I want to do? Well, I'm still going to choose a rows under my key. What table am I going to go to? Well, I want to dump out records from my customer table. And when I do a data dump, I leave the field parameter blank. Don't put anything in there. But I only want to bring back customers that are not blocked. So let's go ahead and add that blocked filter. Blocked, allow special characters, so it's a double quote, add, double quote. You have rows, customer, blank, blocked with add. Go ahead and hit OK. And you should see a whole bunch of gibberish.
Yes.
See gibberish? Good job. It actually represents something. Again, I geek out on it because it's interesting to me. So let's hit OK. And here's what we get. Go ahead and hit refresh.
That's not what I have.
Ooh, let's see what you got.
Jet training Chronos Internet.
Oh, yours might be a little bit different. Your data source name,
Okay.
your first one. So, but yeah, if you've got a big string of gibberish, you're good. Okay. You might have something slightly different because I have different training databases. I have to keep them very specific as to what they are. All right. So, what are we looking at here? Well, the first parameter that we're looking at, that RWWN nav 2009 R2, that's my data source. So yours says Jet Training, right? That's the data source you're currently working in. The next parameter, that's the company within that data source. In nav, we can have multiple companies. Well, now it's telling me go to this data source and this company. It's going to take a step further and say, okay, table number 18. Table number 18 is my customer table. So go to that table now. And then everything after that are those unique keys that identify each of those records. So I can look in field number 1, and the value I have in that one is 10,000. In this location, the unique key is 20,000. Those are the individual customer numbers, if I knew what my unique key was. So essentially, I'm creating a roadmap. Go to this city, go to this street, I should say, go to this state, go to this city, go to this street, and go to that house number. Okay? And I can find out information about who lives in that house. What's the dad's name? What's the mom's name? Do they have pets? Do they have kids? How many kids? What's their phone number? Right? Those are all things about that house. So I can pull information about that record. Go to this address in my database and pull back specific information. So let's do one more, and then I'll show you how to pull the information out of it. So let's do example 2. We're going to create another key here. And as part of a report in which the AR manager needs to make sure that we've paid all credit memos in a system, list all the credit memo records from the customer ledger entry table that we have yet to pay, i.e. have a non-zero remaining amount. So because we want to see every single transaction from this table, we're going to do a data dump. So what I'm going to do is go to my NL, use my rows function. Rows what? What table do I want to go to? Well, it says I want to go to my customer ledger entry table. My field parameter, leave it blank. And now apply your two filters, your document type and remaining amount. So, document type, we want to see credit memos. And remaining amounts. That is not equal to 0. Well, I can't imagine we'd have a credit memo that's greater than 0. So then the customer would owe us more money. It's not really much of a credit memo. Okay. So rows, customer ledger entry, field parameter blank, document type of credit memo, remaining amount not equal to 0. Run your report. 3 records.
Oh, I had.
Yeah, I probably saw example 1 first because it evaluates everything.
Ryan, can you go back to the
Yeah.
Who is your
remaining?
Remaining amount with a $sign. If you choose remaining amount without the $sign or LCY, you probably will get a different result. So make sure you choose the remaining amount with a $sign or LCY.
That's weird. She has more than 3, but she has the exact same thing I have.
You have amount, not remaining amount. It's always something.
Not quite exactly.
Well, shows you how closely I read that.
All right. So we've got all of our keys. We've got all the addresses to our database where we need to go to get information. So now we're going to use our NF statements. Let's go back into design. Go back to example 1. Let's add in, let's see, where are my examples here? We need to add, oops, falling apart. There we go. We're going to jump ahead to 326.
That's a big jump.
It is a big jump because some of the stuff we're going to come back to once we build this out and it makes a little more sense. So we're going to add the NF functions to the record list. So example 1, we need to add the number, the name, the phone number, the salesperson code, and the balance, LCY. So let's just go ahead and type those in. Number, name, phone number, I'll just put SP code, and balance. So once we've got all those, we're going to go under the number header here, and we're going to choose our NF, the little blue one. Go ahead and choose that. We should just see, hey, it wants a key and it wants a field. That's why I call this a key, because I'm going to point to that key in E7. Now that it knows that key, that record, I want to pull that number. That's all I have to do. Look at the key in E7, look at that record, and when you find that record, bring me back the number that's associated with that specific record.
Is it entry number?
No, it should just be NO. Are you in example 1 or example 2?
Example 2.
Oh, we're in example 1.
That might be
Yeah.
why. Never mind.
Hit OK. And so now we should have a whole list of customer numbers here, kind of overlapping our key. This is where it's advantageous to lock down this column. F4 3 times, right? And E, whatever yours is. So that way, hey, well, I know my key is always going to be in column E. Why don't I just go ahead and copy all those over? These are all coming from that table. That way I can just go and modify each of those. Name, phone, salesperson code, balance. If I copy those over, I don't have to select NF, point to the key, tell it what table I want. I can just go through and modify the existing ones. Makes it a little bit easier. So when you use data dumps, it's quite helpful to make sure you actually lock down that reference. When you choose balance, make sure you choose balance with the $sign or LCY, depending on what you receive. But each one, the key points back to my replicator. I choose name, or phone number, or phone NO, salesperson code, balance. Now when I run that, everybody good? Okay. So, I see a couple problems with my report at this point. First off, that's really ugly. Okay? My key, that makes no sense to anybody but me, or a designer. I don't really want to include that in my report, so I'm going to go back into design. I'm still going to have to include it in my report because I need these functions to look at it. But what I can do is go into row 1, where I've told you to stay out of. We're going to go behind the velvet rope here. And in this column, I'm going to type in the word hide. Once you type that into row 1, go ahead and rerun your report. Your key should now be hidden. It's still there. In fact, somebody could unhide that. But if they refresh the report, it's going to rehide it for them. The other problem I have with this is my customer names are getting kind of cut off here. I could go through and expand those out. But what happens when I run this next month and the customers are that long? I run it next month and it's this long. I'm basically forcing my report viewer to have to double click the column to expand it out to the right width each time. Well, let's make it easier for them. Let's go back into design. In row 1, for all of our columns, I'm going to put the word fit. So I have hide in column E, E1, and then fit in F through J, row 1. Now no matter what I make these columns, you know, if I stretch it out really far, fits it to fit the maximum value necessary for that column. So these are two keywords we use, especially with data dumps, and you can actually find them on 324. It's one of the sections we skipped over because I like to actually show the report and then why we use it. So go back into design mode. If you had never run the report, it wouldn't have that auto plus hide, so it would insert stuff. So.
Thank you.
And so we'll start tomorrow, you're not missing much. We'll start tomorrow working on the exercises for the data dump. Be a good way to kind of jump back into it. And then there's going to be a quiz.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, so study. But I think that'll be a really good kind of starting point to get into. It can be open book quiz. It can be open Excel quiz, if you really wanted to. So data dumps are a lot easier. Now you had the question about, couldn't I just get the balance, right, with the GL account and do that with the GL entry? Here's where this would come in handy. So if I came back in here, I've got my balance. I can choose this to be balance. Is this my customer table?
But this is a customer balance. I thought we were talking
Oh,
about
yeah, we were talking
a
about GL.
account. Yeah.
So if I were to come in and just, I gotta modify that. So let's modify this. G/L count. Delete that, delete. Okay. So I can come in and get the balance on date.
Hmm.
Here I'll go to my NF. I'll tell it where my key is. And I will tell it balance at date.
Hmm.
And here's where I now have my flow filters. So I can apply the global dimension filters here. I can apply the date filter, budget, business unit. So date filter. Actually, I don't know if that's going to work. So 01, 08. And so here.